On June 6, 2021, a man rammed a pickup truck into Muslim Pakistani-Canadian pedestrians at an intersection in London, Ontario, Canada. 4 people were killed, and another was wounded, all from the same family. The attack was the largest mass killing in London's history. It was condemned by Canadian leaders and called terrorism by Prime Minister of Canada Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Pakistan Imran Khan and Premier of Ontario Doug Ford. The accused was charged with 4 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, and terrorism. At about 8:40 p.m. on June 6, 2021, a man mounted a curb and drove his pickup truck into a family while they were waiting to cross at the intersection of Hyde Park Road and South Carriage Road in London's Hyde Park neighbourhood. A witness described being stopped at a red light when the truck sped past her, shaking her car from the force. 1 woman was pronounced dead at the scene, and the others were rushed to a hospital, 3 of them later succumbing to their wounds. Shortly before 9 p.m., a black pickup truck approached a cab parked at Cherry Hill Village Mall, about 7 kilometers away from the attack. The driver of the truck, 20-year-old Nathaniel Weltman, approached the cab driver, said that he had just killed someone and asked the cabbie to call the police. Speaking on behalf of the traumatized driver, Yellow Taxi London President Hassan Saif-Hilaghi described Weltman as wearing a military-style helmet and a bulletproof vest which may have been tagged with swastikas, and the truck was covered with blood. Saif-Hilaghi's description was corroborated by a mall maintenance worker who also witnessed the arrest. The driver called 911 and waved down a passing police cruiser. Weltman laughed as he was arrested and asked the driver to film it. The victims were all from the same family, and most arrived in Canada from Pakistan in 2007. The dead were a 46-year-old man, his 44-year-old wife, their 15-year-old daughter and his 74-year-old mother. Their 9-year-old son was hospitalized with serious injuries. On June 14, he was released from the hospital. By June 7, Weltman was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. The London Police Service believe he planned the attack in advance. He was wearing a body armor-style vest at the time of his arrest and had no previous connection to the victims. He has no known connections to hate groups. During the divorce proceedings for Weltman's parents in 2016, he was portrayed as having anger issues and mental illness. In 2017, London psychologist Dr. Richard Zayer described Weltman as often awkward socially, lacking confidence, and that he was preoccupied with what others thought. Court documents also state that his parents had agreed not to leave Weltman unsupervised with his younger siblings. Weltman worked at an egg packing facility in Strathroy and lived in an apartment on Covent Market Place in downtown London. One co-worker who was raised as a Muslim described him as a proud Christian and noted he seemed to treat Muslims normally for the 4 years he worked there. Co-workers said the alleged murders and motivation seemed out of character and unexpected. Shortly after the attack, Crown attorneys charged Weltman with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. Weltman made a court appearance on June 10, but the case was put over so he could apply for legal aid and hire a lawyer. On June 14, federal and provincial Crown attorneys said that Weltman would also be charged with terrorism. Also on June 14, the case was again delayed until June 21 because Weltman had still not secured counsel. The House of Commons held a moment of silence for the victims. The attack was condemned by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the Islamic Supreme Council of Canada, Calgary Mayor Naheed Nainshi, the National Council of Canadian Muslims and Prime Minister of Pakistan Imran Khan, all of whom called it an act of terrorism motivated by hatred. All parties in the Canadian Parliament agreed to call an emergency national action summit to tackle Islamophobia. A vigil was held on June 8, 2021, at the London Muslim Mosque. Premier of Ontario Doug Ford temporarily lifted provincial COVID-19 restrictions in London for it to proceed. Trudeau, Ford and London Mayor Ed Holder attended, among thousands more. On June 12, a public funeral for the 4 family members that were killed in the attack was held with hundreds in attendance.